Coming to you from the mountains and the plains. The only conservative voices brave enough to push back. This is the Conservative Daily Podcast with Joe Altman.
That's what the Second Amendment was designed to do. If you're going to do something to nullify or take away my rights under the Constitution, come get it.
Max McGuire.
When you look at politicians on the left, they need to convince people that they are victims.
A resistance to the resistance.
And now your hosts, Joe Altman and Max McGuire.
And welcome back to another edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. My name is Max McGuire. We are waiting on Joe Altman. He is in our Denver studio, and the fire alarm in the building went off. We thought it was done, and it's going off again. So we wanted to make sure that since our text alert went out, we didn't want to leave people waiting for too long. So we figured we'll go live and bring Joe in once the fire alarm goes off. Lots of jokes in the YouTube comment section saying that we had a water pipe break. Yeah, just like Fulton County, Georgia, we had a water main problem. But no, it's everyone's fine. It's just whatever's going on in their building. The fire alarm is a little bit crazy today. So we're going to get into this right from the start and go through some of the definitions, some of the more boring stuff as we're waiting for Joe. But I'll remind everyone, make sure you hit that share button on Facebook. Very important today. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and comment on YouTube. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and then hit the bell for notifications. Very, very important today because today's podcast is about what the ATF is doing at Joe Biden's guidance in an attempt to rush through a gun control proposal to be ready in time for his supposed inauguration. Right? Whether or not Joe Biden is inaugurated on January 20th, the ATF isn't going to wait. They want to rush through a new gun control proposal now before that happens so that it can be ready to go on day one of a Biden presidency. So go ahead and put up my screen, Mr. Producer. This is an article from Amaland. Mr. Producer, can you put up my screen? Oh, Joe's back. Great. The fire's done. This is an article from Amaland from earlier in November, and there was a conference call on November 10th between Joe Biden's transition team and ATF Acting Director Regina Lombardo and Associate Deputy Director Marvin Richardson. They engaged in a conference call. Oh, Joe's sinking down lower. They engaged in a conference call with the Biden transition team to talk about ways that they could go ahead and ban what's called an AR-15 pistol brace. So I wanted to preface this with that, and because what we're seeing from the ATF, what we're going to go through, is not happening in a vacuum. They met with the Biden transition team, they talked about this, and now they're doing this. This is very, very illegal. But considering that they're targeting guns and gun accessories, very, very unconstitutional. So you go ahead and take that off the screen. We'll welcome on now formally co-host Joe Altman. Joe, how was your fire drill?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. We just had to worry about, I didn't go outside. I just stayed inside the building, but everybody else left. And I guess somebody pulled the fire alarm or construction. Yeah. It's one of the two.
Construction. That sounds about right. Well, I sent over what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
I hope you got to read about it. You know a lot about AR-15s, AR-15 pistols, arm braces, but just in case people don't understand, I brought some visual aids from my own personal collection to explain to people the difference between an AR-15 and an AR-15 pistol. So this is an AR-15. It's a rifle. It has a barrel that's 16 plus inches long, and it has a stock. This is the kind of stock you would expect to see on like an old like M16 kind of Vietnam era rifle. But most AR-15s today don't look like that. Most of them tend to have an adjustable stock. This allows you to adjust it based on the length of pull, so that if you want to give to someone who's shorter, who has shorter arms, they can fire it safely without using a gun that's either too long or too short for them. Those are rifles, and rifles are defined by being fired from the shoulder with a barrel longer than 16 inches. It has to be longer than 16 inches. If it's less than 16 inches, it's an SBR. It's a short-barreled rifle. And that is defined under the National Firearms Act, which basically classifies that SBR in the same category as a machine gun or a rocket launcher. So if you're even just a smidgen below that 16-inch minimum for a rifle barrel, very, very illegal. You have to register with the government, pay a $200 tax to get the stamp for it. And yeah, it takes months to do. So people hate having to do that. They don't want a long-barreled AR-15, and they hate having to register their guns or pay the tax for the right to do it. So for a long time, people have had AR-15 pistols, and I have one here as well. An AR-15 pistol is an AR-15 that has a shorter barrel, and it's not designed to be fired from the shoulder. So in 2012, a man by the name of Alex Bosco was shooting with a disabled friend of his, and seeing that his friend was having a hard time firing the AR-15 one-handed. He was disabled. So he went to the drawing boards, and he created a device. We actually have a picture. Go ahead and put up image number 1, Mr. Producer. This was the SB-15. It was a device that goes on the end of a AR-15 pistol, designed to strap to the person's arm. That lets them fire it one-handed, even if they're disabled or even if they just need a little help because it's a little unwieldy. Let's go to image 2. This kind of shows the difference between an AR-15 pistol, that's the one on top, without any kind of device on the end, on the buffer tube. And then you see on the bottom, that's with the arm brace. Now, it's important to note that that is not a stock. It might look like a stock to you, but it is not a stock. The ATF actually ruled on this in 2012, 2013, and said that it is a brace, it is not a stock, so it is legal to own. So on my AR-15 pistol, I have a brace. It's a different brand. It's a blade. It's not designed to wrap against your arm. It's just designed to rest against your forearm to kind of help control recoil a little bit. You'll notice, we'll get into this in a second, my AR-15 does not have any sights on it. And as we'll explain by the new leaked documents out of the ATF, there is a reason for that, because they want to criminalize you based on what kinds of sights you put on it. Joe, do you have an AR-15 pistol?
I do.
So
yeah.
You understand the whole issue of the braces, the blades. Lots of people have used it as a workaround because for the longest time the ATF let you put it against your shoulder. Then they said you're not allowed to put it against your shoulder. Then they said you can put it against your shoulder as long as you didn't originally intend to put it against your shoulder. Really stupid stuff at the ATF trying to criminalize legal gun owners. But do you have any guess, Joe, as to how many gun owners do you think own AR-15 pistols with these braces?
It's about 3.5 million. I mean, it says 2 million, but there's 3.5 million of them out there.
So the 2 million is the last year's number. There's probably a lot higher, over 3.5. So those are people who bought these devices. And anytime you buy a gun or the brace, it comes, almost every manufacturer, reseller does this, it comes with a letter from the ATF saying it is legal to own. It's true. Anyone who's done this knows it comes with one of those letters from the ATF saying it's legal to own. They now want to change that. And again, this is at the behest of the incoming, I put an asterisk next to that, Biden administration, having worked in coordination with the ATF in November. They want to change that. So today we're going to be going through those leaked documents and explaining just what they're talking about, just what they want to do, and why it would be a big deal for all of us.
Just so you know, there's a bunch of stuff that's coming out. People are actually putting on in the comments talking about what's happening right now with Dominion and some of the other things with that Lynn would put on Twitter. So as things start to break in the middle of this and the end of this, obviously there's a lot coming out today about Dominion. The problem that we have, and the reason why we're having the conversation about this today, is because there's opportunity in chaos. So with the chaos of everything else going on, they're sneaking things through in order to basically take away the rights of Americans for something that is guaranteed by the Constitution. So.
Yeah, no, we're not done talking about the allegations of fraud, the irregularities. We're not finished. We have to talk about this, though, because the ATF wants to ram this through this month. The law requires a 90-day comment period. Comment period, and they want to ram it through this month, only giving us 14 days to fight it. They want to do that to make it go into effect in time for Joe Biden. So it's very illegal, very unconstitutional, and the fact that Joe Biden's team is actually coordinating with the ATF on this. Yes, we're talking about this today because we cannot afford to let this slip through. It's obviously making the rounds on gun community websites, on gun forums, but we need more people to understand this because this isn't something that's a random regulation, right?
Well, it's
This
slippery
affects
slope,
between-
right? They want to actually put a tax on all ammunition. They want to put a tax on arm brace, on owning. I mean, I'm talking $200 a piece and $200 on ammo, certain types of ammo that are out there. I mean, what they're doing right now is they are trying to strip you of your rights and ability to own anything, right? They're going to put, magazines. Yeah, so they want to put a tax on magazines. And I'm thinking to myself, what is going on? Max, I don't believe that we're at a place right now, and I keep saying, and I said it yesterday, that we're going to be able to get through this without a violent conflict. I think that we're so far down the thing that it's going to resort to violence. I know that there are a lot of people out there that are like, I'm ready, let's go. Let's just get it over with, right? But I think we're at that place where, the ATF is doing this, the FBI has been infiltrated, the deep state, these people that are foreign actors are now being elected to office and now harvesting ballots and doing things, Ilhan Omar, and it's crazy. It's crazy that they actually even got a voice, but the people in the community, because we've literally just let anybody in, right? Just let anybody in, that we're allowing these people to actually represent anyone in America with un-American values. And that's what we're dealing with right now with the ATF. That's what we're dealing with the FBI. That's what we're dealing with the court system. So it's this is crazy.
So just in case people don't understand this, Mr. Producer, put up my screen. This is the original letter from the ATF dated November 26, 2012, saying that arm braces are legal. That if you can put an arm brace on your gun and it doesn't make it an SBR. That comes with every single one you buy nowadays. They then changed it in 2015 to try and say that using an arm brace redesigns the firearm into an SBR. That was in 2015-ish. People were furious. People were up in arms. We helped lead the fight to stop that, and it got overturned. It got overturned in 2017, March 21st, where they reiterated that no, we're not gonna go that route. You can still have it on your guns, but just know that if you put it on your gun intending to use it as a stock, that is the problem. So that was very, very murky language, and it's very hard to prove that. If someone puts a brace on their firearm, how do you prove that they intended to use as a stock? Short of a Dear Diary entry with them writing in their own handwriting, I plan to break the law, it's very hard to do that. So put my screen back up again, Mr. Producer. In 2018, there was a case in Ohio where the U.S. attorneys went after a man named Kelland Wright, and they went after him because he had an AR-15 pistol that had a pistol brace on it, and they tried to basically prosecute him for unlawful possession of an unregistered short-barreled rifle. And that is essentially the same criminal penalty as if he had an unregistered rocket launcher or an unregistered machine gun. It's the same class of weapons, NFA weapons. They went after him, and this is the really shameful part. His defense lawyers tried, and they were ultimately successful, but they tried to have that letter, that original letter from the ATF saying this is legal to own, they tried to have it introduced as evidence in trial, and the government, the U.S. attorney, tried to block them. So they were trying to present this guy as a felon, when he's like, wait a minute, I have a letter from the ATF saying it's legal to own, and the U.S. government tried to block that from being added into evidence. Ultimately, the defense prevailed, and after a very short deliberation, he was declared not guilty. But it's insane that 2018, just a couple of years ago, we were in a position where someone was using a legal firearm with a legal accessory, and they were prosecuted anyway, and they had to pay for the ability to prove their innocence. Right. So that we can take that off the screen now, that kind of pissed the ATF off because they realized that having to prove intent was going to be very, very hard. Unless, as I said, you have a Dear Diary entry, very, very hard to prove intent. And Joe, I know you own a gun range. You're there all the time. You see people using these. Some people use them as they're supposed to. Some people don't. The way the ATF says, you can use it as you're not supposed to, but you can't have intended to. How insane is it? I mean, is it even possible, do you think, to prove intent short of an actual written or verbal admission? No, I think that, sorry, I just got something that more and more is coming in about Eric Coomer, by the way, and I got to share some of this with you. It's going to be amazing, but not today, I guess. No, I think that we're heading down that slippery slope, and no matter how much we fight against it, and here's the problem with these cases. Even when the ATF or the FBI or one of these guys it's usually the ATF,
brings a case against a citizen for something that's legal, you just said you had to spend 50, 100 grand, whatever it is, to defend it. You don't get that money back.
No, you don't.
So the government actually has the ability to persecute individuals in our society, right? And no matter what, even if you're found not guilty, they got their pound of flesh. I mean, I want you to think about the significance of that, right? And that we're in a free society, that we're supposed to be governed by a justice system, that, truth is supposed to prevail. But they made it so expensive that no matter what you do, they can actually literally take away your ability to feed your family.
Yeah.
Think about that.
And ultimately, they're not even looking for an actual court fight. They're hoping that the weight of the federal government becomes so terrifying that you plead guilty. Like almost, I think it's like 98, 99% of actual federal charges end up being pled out because people realize it's just going to be too expensive going against the federal government. And even if you win, you'll be out of money. If you lose, your life's over. So they take the plea. So we saw that in prosecuting Trump's advisors. Many of them took the plea. Cohen took the plea, even though he probably could have fought it and beat it. They're hoping that they'll charge an innocent gun owner with a felony, and they'll be too afraid to actually fight it. That's what they're hoping. So far, it hasn't happened. Everyone they've charged has fought it. But that kind of leads us into today. Go ahead, Mr. Producer. Let's put up image number 3. This is from a leaked document that just started making the rounds last night. Objective factors for classifying weapons with stabilizing braces from the ATF. This is a draft. It has not been formally added to the Federal Register yet, but we're hearing that it's going to happen literally any day now. And that's why someone leaked this out. And it says the Bureau of the ATF is publishing the objective factors. They claim it's objective. It considers when evaluating firearms with an attached stabilizing brace to determine whether they are considered firearms under the National Firearms Act and or Gun Control Act. ATF publishes this notice to inform and invite yada, yada, yada. Upon issuance of final guidance, ATF will provide additional information to aid persons or companies in complying with federal laws. Yeah. So they're trying to slip this through now before we notice. The word is that they're going to try and do it around Christmas, hoping that we're all too busy to fight it. So let's put up image 4. This is where they admit that the device was designed to help disabled people. In recent years, some manufacturers have produced and sold devices designed to be attached to large and or heavy pistols, which were marketed to help a shooter stabilize his or her arm to support single-handed fire braces. ATF was advised by first manufacturer to submit an arm brace for classification, that the intent of the arm brace was to facilitate one-handed firing of the AR-15 pistol for those with limited strength or mobility due to a handicap, or to reduce bruising to the forearm when firing with one hand. According to this manufacturer, the brace concept was inspired by the needs of disabled combat veterans who still enjoy recreational shooting but could not reliably control heavy pistols without assistance. Consequently, ATF agrees that there are legitimate uses for certain stabilizing braces. So they admit that the whole purpose of this, original purpose, was to help disabled veterans rejoin the shooting sports. Veterans who lost an arm, right, and they can't actually hold a handgun with 2 arms, the ability to actually brace it to their arm to help them fire, help them handle the recoil, help them handle the weight of the gun. Because it's not just AR-15 pistols. I mean, you look at a Desert Eagle, you look at an S&W 500, there are heavy handguns that shoot big cartridges that one-handed it's going to be a really hard time working with. Joe, I know that at your range, if someone wants to rent a Smith & Wesson 500, you guys only give them 1 bullet at a time. And that's because the risk of firing it with the recoil, anyone who's seen a Smith & Wesson 500 or actually fired it know that when you fire it, it's the recoil is so significant that there actually have been cases where people have put second bullets in the revolver.
Right.
They fire it once, the recoil sends it all the way back, and freaked out, they pull the trigger again, and they shoot themselves in the head.
Yeah, right.
So most ranges only let 1 bullet go into the revolver at a time, because people have accidentally shot themselves. That's how significant the recoil is, right?
Yeah, so we don't have that rule. And we haven't had an accident.
Oh, you did years ago. I guess that changed.
Yeah, we don't. No, we took that away. But in the last 8 years, and in full disclosure, DCF Guns is one of the largest sellers of guns and ammo in the state of Colorado, and we own it. So it's it's a pretty cool, pretty great place. But yeah, we've never had that rule in place at DCF, just because in order to be on the range, you have to be a member.
Yeah. So let's put up. That's actually a great segue. let's put up the gun giveaway. We're giving away a Glock 17 with our partners at DCF. Make sure there's a link in the description. Make sure you enter. We're going to be doing the drawing on Christmas Day. So make sure you check out that link in the description and enter. All the rules are on the entry page. Yada, yada, yada. You need to be 21. You need to pass a background check. Just make sure that you use your real legal name, because as we send the firearm out, it will be sending it out to that name. And if you're not that person,
well, it has to go to an FFL.
You're not gonna get it. Yeah,
right.
It has
So
to
it
go
goes
to
from
FFL,
one. If you're in a different state, it goes to an FFL, and you can pick it up from there. You just have to do the same.
It still has
transfer.
to be. You still has to be to the right person.
Yeah.
So we don't want to be accused of straw purchasing or anything like that. So make sure you check out the link in the description and join the gun giveaway. Again, the drawing will be on Christmas Day. So we're going to play a video of an SNW 500 being fired a little bit later. But I want to put up this. Let's put up image 5. So the ATF admits in this leaked document that braces can be legal, but they say the GCA, Gun Control Act, or National Firearms Act, generally regulate firearms and not individual components. And as such, the ATF does not classify unregulated components or accessories alone. However, components or accessories can affect the overall classification of a firearm because, 1, how a component or accessory is actually used may be relevant in assessing the manufacturer's or maker's intent with respect to the design of the firearm, or 2, the design of a component or accessory may result in a firearm falling within a particular statutory definition. Stabilizing braces are one such component or accessory that ATF has encountered. So they're admitting that it is possible to use a brace illegally, and that depending on your intent, adding a brace to an AR-15 pistol can be a federal crime. And as we said, it is in the same class of crime as if you had an illegal machine gun, illegal rocket launcher, illegal tank. It would be the same part of the statute. So the ATF claims, and we don't have to put it up, the ATF claims they're doing this because these are the type of weapons that criminals use. And it's so stunning to me because...
Yeah, criminals use, because high points, you want to put an arm brace on.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of stupidity actually associated with the ATF and whoever drafted this and the Biden administration that thinks that they're going to be president. By the way, he's not going to be president. Okay, I'm telling you right now, he's not going to be president. He is not going to be president.
Is acting like he will be, though.
Yeah, they're acting like he would be because there's been plenty of deep state operatives along the way that have done everything they can to interfere with a fair and free election, including saying that this is the safest election ever, which is absolute garbage.
Careful.
I didn't say it.
You almost did.
But the point is that we keep dealing with this massive amount of stupidity. The people that own those arm braces, that own those weapons, those are law-abiding people. Those are people that are actually law-abiding. Those are the people that spend $900, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for a gun. Right? They're not the ones that are out there spending $140 on a high point to go out in the streets and use ball ammo, which is basically full metal jacket ammo, in the commission of crimes. That's not true.
Well, the whole thing is that there's 2 reasons to use this. You use an arm brace because you are literally disabled, or you are unable to handle the weight or length or recoil of a heavy handgun, right? That's one reason. The other reason that people have done it is because they don't want to register their guns with the federal government, and they don't want to have to pay a $200 tax stamp for the ability to put something that resembles a stock on the end of their pistol, right? So criminals don't care about that regulation, don't care about that law. If they want a short-barreled rifle, they're just going to take a saw to the end of their rifle and cut the barrel off. If they want a short-barreled shotgun, a sawed-off shotgun, they'll just saw it off. The criminal element doesn't care about that law. They're not there with a measuring tape trying to measure how long the barrel is to make sure they're not 1/8 of an inch too small and out of compliance, right? It's legal gun owners who care about this.
But the point is, all of these laws that they've created, I mean, look at what they've done in Washington. Look what they've done in Oregon, right? I mean, they're literally making exceptions so that people can commit crimes. They have a law that they're trying to put on the books in Washington State right now, or excuse me, maybe it's not Washington. Yeah, I think it is, where it's making it legal for people that stole merchandise to actually go out and resell it, right? Because they need to resell it so that they can make money to feed their drug habits and to give them food and shelter. that is a law, people. I mean, they are literally making those laws. So they're taking away your right to actually protect your family, saying you can't own a gun. This arm brace now makes your weapon illegal, and or you have to apply for a tax stamp and pay them more, right? Give them another $200 for that tax stamp.
They're offering to not do it. They're offering to let you do it for free.
Oh,
that's their offer.
Okay, yeah.
That they'll waive the tax in order to let you do it for free. Because they want the registration. They want you to voluntarily put your name in a registry. Even if they can't prove that you're doing it illegally, they want the fear, the question circling over you that you might be prosecuted to be enough to make you voluntarily register your gun. Lots of people are actually excited about this because they've always wanted an SBR, and they have other registered firearms, NFA devices, that they're like, oh yeah, I'll register this and I'll just slap a stock on it. Fixed. But that's kind of short-sighted because ultimately they want the registry. They want that registration component. Let's put up image 7. They don't know when it's going to be released. This is from a leaked draft. But they say that written comments must be postmarked and electronic comments must be submitted on or before insert date 14 days after date of publication. That's actually not legal. If you're going to make a change in the Federal Register, you're supposed to give people 90 days to comment. They're planning to only give us 14 days, which is why a lot of people are fearful that they're going to put it like on December 24th, Christmas Eve, right? So not only will you get the holidays, but you also get an extra weekend. You'll get New Year's, right? It'll be very hard for people to actually have public comment. So it's very illegal what they're planning to do, but it also shows how sinister they are in trying to push this through in a way that will increase the likelihood of it surviving challenge. Which, I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, let's put their pictures up, Mr. Brewster. Put on my screen again. These are the two people at the heart of this: Regina Lombardo and Marvin Richardson. What a horrible picture of Marvin Richardson. That's so unfortunate. That's so unfortunate that's the picture that we have. But no, this is their brainchild, and they're working with the quote-unquote incoming Biden administration to get this on the books. They're actually doing this during Trump's administration. Trump is still president, and they're sneaking gun control through. They plan to actually file to have this added to the register during Trump's administration. I mean, that's how sinister this really is. Let's go ahead, and I want to talk about how they plan to do this. And then we'll get done with this, and we'll talk about more of the developments with the election, the fraud, and all of that. But I want to explain how they plan to do this, because it really is very, very sinister, and it could lead a lot of people to be very, very afraid. Let's put up image 8. So they can't reclassify whether or not an arm brace is a stock or not. So they're going to use what's called a totality of the circumstances standard. So instead of having to prove your intent, they're going to look at other parts of the firearm and use that to devise whether or not you intended to use it illegally. So they don't actually have to prove that you used it illegally. They don't have to prove that you intended to use it illegally. They can look at your gun and see other accessories that you added and deduce that you probably used it illegally. So the one thing they're going to look at is the type and caliber. The type and caliber of a firearm to which the stabilized brace or similar item is installed. A large caliber firearm that is impractical to fire with one hand because of recoil or other factors, even with an arm brace, is likely to be considered a rifle or shotgun. That is bogus. That is BS. We can take that off the screen. A pistol is simply defined as a firearm with a barrel shorter than 16 inches designed to be fired with one hand. Right. There are plenty of big bore pistols that are hard to handle. So that standard that they're implying,
the S&W 500 is one of those things that you are going to have trouble shooting with one hand.
Yeah. But this new change is going to let an ATF agent decide whether or not it is practical or impractical for you to be able to fire that firearm with one hand. So I have 2 clips from videos I found on YouTube, and we'll critique them to make sure that we use this completely as fair use. Just showing how this standard is completely subjective. So this first cut is a woman, and I feel bad, but she has millions of views on YouTube, so it's fine us showing her. We're not going to make fun of her. A woman not really understanding what she was getting involved in, firing a Smith & Wesson 500 revolver for the first time and being completely overwhelmed by the recoil. Let's go ahead and play cut 1.
Oh, she got hit in the head.
Well, let's play that again, and we're going to go through what she did wrong to make sure this is fair use. Let's play it again. So what did she do wrong? Well, now I'm taking over the whole screen. She didn't lean forward. She didn't actually hold it securely. She didn't put her body behind the gun. She didn't put her body behind the gun. So when you shoot over to the side, the recoil is going to blow back. If you put it in front of you, the recoil will push you back. You won't actually spin like that. Now, she did a lot of things wrong, and it's not her fault. She obviously had no idea. She was being set up to do this, not knowing what she was getting into.
We could do these all day long. I mean, you can go to YouTube. There's the one. So we actually blew up a car. I actually took the shot. That'll be a good video. I think that we should actually play that video. What do you think? Here, let me send it to you. I'll send it to you, and we'll share. We'll share
play
the
it
screen.
after we get through this because we're.
But
almost
guys,
done.
listen. From 370-ish, 380 yards, right? I blew up a car, so I think that'd be a really good video to actually show, right?
He hasn't hit an elk yet, but he has hit a car.
This guy.
Listen, I haven't hit an elk either, so it's fair. So that was a video of a woman being overwhelmed by a Smith & Wesson 500. If anyone doesn't know what that is, it is a 50 caliber revolver. Like people who use it for sport use it to hunt grizzly bears or use it for protection if they're out hunting from grizzly bears. Like this is a big handgun. She was overwhelmed by it, and she wasn't a big girl, but she wasn't small either. This next clip, this is a woman who's advertised as 5 feet tall and 105 pounds shooting the same revolver. And look at how she's able to actually handle the recoil because she knows what she's doing. Let's play cut 2. You see the difference there? Her arms are straight, right? She's not holding it loosely. It's in front of her. She's leaning forward, right? She's doing it all the right way. And when she fires it, you don't see it flying around because she knows what she's doing. So I showed those because obviously the first video is a little comical, but the ATF is constructing this in a way where it's subjective. The ATF agent gets to decide whether or not there's too much power behind the gun. And if they think that it's too powerful for you to hold with one hand and it has a brace on it, that could be a contributing factor in determining that you intended to commit a felony. I mean, this is insane. It's insane how good your form is or how big you are, how strong you are. They're going to use in a totality of the circumstances standard to decide whether or not you violated the National Firearms Act.
Okay, so this is going to be a treat for everyone. I wanted to talk about Dominion today. I know, no. Yeah, we're going to play it now. So I wanted to talk about Dominion. There's so much to actually talk about. We still have January 6th. We have lots of lawsuits that have actually made it through the next round. You have stuff that's been filed with the Supreme Court. But I want to give you guys a treat. So I'm actually a really good shot. I've had lots of practice. But this is a video of us in February. We blew up a car on my friend's property, 370-ish yards, and into 50 pounds of tannerite. So go ahead. No, the car wasn't moving, Deb. Yeah.
And there it is.
So that is fair use. Well, you cut it off before they could see that there was nothing left of the car. So that was me. It was cold.
It's obvious there's nothing left.
Yeah, there was nothing left of that car. It was absolutely amazing.
I had to clean it up. And Josh, producer Josh, who is back from COVID. Welcome back, producer Josh.
It's good to be here. I survived.
We can celebrate. We are back to back COVID-19 champions.
Yeah, got him.
All three of us have had it.
I'd like to thank the good Lord for giving me the strength and ability to take my opponent.
This isn't an Oscars speech.
No, let's go ahead. I've got.
I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank Harvey Weinstein for always believing in me. So that video has nothing to do with what we're talking about today.
No, but it was a really good video.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's very, very awesome. I shot that car with a 300 Win Mag at 370 yards into a container. I had to shoot it about the size of a 2-inch deal into 50 pounds of tannerite, and it annihilated that car. It was pretty. Yeah. It's pretty amazing, actually.
It is. So that was cool. But I want to finish the thing because it's very important that everyone fight back against this. And we do have a link in our comments section. Yeah. If you want to join our campaign, put pressure on Congress to stop this. When we found things like this in the past with the ATF, when they were trying to ban steel-tipped ammunition, when they were going after gun imports, we rallied conservatives and put pressure on Congress, forcing them to stop this. So this is something we can stop, but it's going to take all of us rising up together. So there's a link in the description. If you want to join our Fact Splats campaign today, you can do that there. So let's go ahead and put that image back up, image number 8. So they're going after based on type and caliber. They're also going after weight or length. The weight and length of the firearm used with the stabilizing brace, a firearm that is so heavy that it is, again, impractical to fire or aim with one hand, or so long that it is difficult to balance the firearm to fire with one hand, is likely to be considered a rifle or shotgun. That's not what the law says.
No, it's not.
The law says that if it has less than a 16-inch barrel and it's designed to be used with one hand, then it's a pistol. What they're trying to do is sneak in this alternate definition that doesn't matter if it's designed to be used as a pistol, if it's practical to be fired with one hand. That's not how it works. I mean, we've all seen shows of
but again,
pirates with like
they make it subjective. They make it subjective. They make it subjective so they can actually attack the American people. I mean, the entire idea of the left is to strip you of your ability to have free thought, to strip you of the ability to have freedom, and to make it so expensive that no matter what, they can come after you. You may win, but they're going to get their pound of flesh. Our system is completely flawed. In that way, it's completely flawed. And I see what the left's been able to do with them saying that, hey, listen, it's now legal for you to go steal and resell your loot. Look, we're headed down a very, I don't know, we're going to a bad place.
We're going to a very bad place.
And so, which is why I said before, we're headed towards a war. And I guess I'm relenting today. Like today is just that one day that I'm just taking a deep breath, and which is why I'm glad you're talking about this. 'Cause I think I'd have a heart attack if we were talking about Coomer and the massive amounts of fraud that are happening across the country. I want to just choke people out right now.
So we have that. We have the type and caliber, weight and length. They also look at length of pull, which is the distance between the actual trigger and your shoulder. So they're basically saying it's absurd because people come in different shapes and sizes.
No,
right?
they don't.
And yes, they do.
No, they don't. No. People look all the same. That's what they say. They look all the same. Oh.
Everyone looks the same. Well, like here's my AR-15 pistol. Like this is the blade. It's a stabilizing brace. I design it to fit nicely right on my forearm. Right. I changed the length based on where it felt most comfortable to me. They're trying to, again, add this subjective standard to say it doesn't matter what feels most comfortable to you. If it's in a position where you could use it as a stock, that means obviously that you did. And it's just insane. If you try to apply this standard to anything else, it would be laughed out of the court. But they're given this wide latitude to do whatever they want. Put up image 9. They're also going over the attachment method, the way that you attach it. So a lot of companies have made folding pistol braces to mimic a stock. Some have had adjustable pistol braces, right? So they're going after the method in which you attach it. Use of these items could indicate that it was designed to be fired from the shoulder. No, that's not what it means. That just means that you like the way it looks or you like being able to move it or adjust it. They're trying to weasel their way in. And this is the big one. Put up image 10. Design features. If it utilizes a brace compared to an alternate shouldering device, if the design of the brace compared to a known shoulder stock designs, they're going to look at the amount of rear contact surface area of the stabilizing brace that can be used in shouldering the weapon. Like that's insane.
Because math.
They're going to look at the material. Yeah. So if it's plastic or wood or metal, because that can also be used for a stock, that makes it a stock. Any shared or interchangeable parts. So if you build something, you say, I don't want to have to build every part from scratch. I'm going to borrow some screws that are also used in a stock. That would make it a stock because it uses the same parts. Any other feature of the brace that improves the weapon's effectiveness from the shoulder firing position. So if the brace, like, listen, put up image 2 again. It is obvious that that brace at the bottom is easier to shoulder than the uncovered buffer tube on the top. That's obvious, right? No one disputed that. But they're trying to claim that if the brace would make it easier to shoulder it, that would make it a crime. And it gets even worse, folks. Image 11.
Well, but here's the problem. Anybody that knows how to handle these firearms knows that, you could actually, because of where the barrel is anyway, you can actually, you don't even need to shoulder it in order to create stability and actually get a good shot. You don't.
Right, you just need your cheek weld.
Right. Right. Yeah. Boom. That's right. Yeah. Josh is sitting here demonstrating right now for me.
Going boom, boom.
Do it again. Boom, boom.
Josh
Come on, Josh. Boom, boom.
Josh obviously has foggy COVID brain over there muttering to himself, boom, boom. Sorry, Josh. I'll be nice. Please make sure that all the other images go up as I asked for them.
I kind of forgot where all the other images went. I'm sorry. I've got nothing.
Let's put up image 11. This is insane to me. So it says aim point. They're going to judge the aim point.
Right.
If the aim point when using the arm brace attachment results in an upward or downward trajectory that could not accurately hit a target, this may indicate the attachment was not designed as a stable brace. Sights and scopes. Incorporation of sights or scopes that possess eye relief incompatible with one-handed firing may indicate that the weapon is not a pistol because they're designed to be used from a shoulder fire position and are incompatible with shooting.
So they're talking about.
So that's what we're just talking about.
Yeah.
The cheek weld. Yeah. So you'll notice this hasn't even been published, but my pistol does not have any sights on it yet anymore.
Yeah.
Those came off. As soon as I read this, I said, I'm going to take it off now while I remember, and it's off. But the whole notion that they can subjectively look at your gun and decide whether or not it would be possible to shoot it accurately is insane. That is not law. That is subjectivity, and it would be thrown out, again, if it was any other branch of the government doing this.
Yeah, so my friend just sent me stuff right now. He's listening to us. So shout out to Jason. He has as big of a like of guns as I do. But listen, the sight, I've seen a S&W 500 with a scope on it.
With a scope, yeah.
I've seen some crazy handguns with scopes on it, right?
Red dots,
red dots.
Flip up sights, all of it,
Yeah. And they said that you can't actually use those sights on it because it's meant to be fired with one arm. That's not true, or one hand. It's not true. It's just not true.
Yeah,
so.
It's and the ATF has also ruled that it is legal to take a pistol without an arm brace and to get a cheek weld. So if you put your cheek against the buffer tube, you're allowed to do that. That's legal. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to take things that are very illegal and saying that if you do that all at the same time, that means you must be intending to violate the National Firearms Act.
100%.
This is insane. Put image 11 back up. It says that also going to look at whether it has a secondary grip. The presence of a secondary grip may indicate that the firearm is not a pistol because it was not designed to be held or fired by one hand. That is insane. It is illegal to attach a vertical foregrip to a pistol. That's what the ATF has found. Go back 10 plus years. You cannot put a vertical foregrip, but the ATF has said you can have an angled foregrip. Lots of pistols have it because, yeah, it's designed to be fired with one hand, but if you go to any kind of training class, they will not teach you to fire one hand like a gangster pointed sideways. They will tell you to put two hands on your gun.
Two hands on your gun, even when it's a pistol.
Even when it's a pistol. So this idea that anything that makes it easier to hold it with a second hand, I mean, the left loves to call this a barrel shroud, or as that one famous Democrat said, the thing that goes up. They can argue that that is designed to stop me from burning my hand by putting a second hand on it, and that makes it a rifle. That's just not how it works, right? They can't just change this and make it completely subjective like that. And then the last bit, let's put image 11 back up.
They're trying to do it right now, so they actually can. We just have to stop them from doing it.
We can stop them. And if it was actually brought before a fair judge and argued correctly, it'd be thrown out. They also are going after peripheral accessories. Installation of any peripheral accessories commonly found on rifles or shotguns may indicate that the firearm is not designed and intended to be held and fired with one hand. This includes, but is not limited to, installation of bipods or monopods that improve the accuracy of heavy weapons designed and intended to be fired from the shoulder, or the inclusion of a magazine or drum that accepts so many cartridges that it increases the overall weight of the firearm to a degree that it is impractical to fire the weapon with one hand.
They haven't seen Rambo.
Obviously, they haven't.
They haven't seen Rambo.
So people can
that guy fired a... yeah.
All right, this has me angry. I'm actually coming in because I own a ton of stuff. What happens if I put a light that is on my rifle, like a Streamlight TLR-1, right?
Yeah.
Very common light. I have one on a pistol. But if I put one on a rifle, does that then make anything that I have illegal? Right? I mean, that's common.
Includes, but is not limited to. Includes, but is not limited to. But if that last part is terrifying. They're saying that if there's too many bullets in the magazine, that could be a justification for saying it's too heavy to be fired. So you can't, they're saying that if you put a drum in a pistol, obviously you're not strong enough to hold that one-handed. They're trying to sneak through a magazine capacity ban for pistols, saying that anything over whatever subjective number the ATF agent decides that day, anything over that is illegal because that makes it a rifle.
Yep.
I mean, this is insanity.
Yeah. Well, we're in the most insane year. I just think that we should just go back. Just go back to last year and be like, look, we're gonna redo. We want a 2020 redo. You know how you have the daylight savings. We're gonna do year light savings. We're gonna save ourselves a year, go back and let's just redo 2020, and then get rid of all the madness related to COVID and the madness we're dealing with right now. I mean, this is the day. This is why I say we're headed towards a place where we are absolutely 100% going to have to go through a violent confrontation in order to win. And I think that there's another thing we should talk about, and that is succession. There is a large group of states that are saying, great, I got a great idea. You blue guys, just go over there, right? We'll take this area, you take that area, and we'll kumbaya. We'll come back out. And everyone that wants to live in the loony left, go over there and live in those states. And anyone that wants to live under constitutional integrity that was designed by a constitutional republic, then we'll have these states. Let's do that. And then watch them eat their own, right? Watch them actually create chaos in their own environments.
So this is the last bit we're going to cover, and then we'll talk about developments with the election fraud. Put up image 13. This is the very end, and this is where they offer you the ability to, free of charge, register your guns with the federal government. Consequently, following issuance of this notice, ATF and DOJ plan to implement a separate process by which current possessors of affected stabilizer-equipped firearms may choose to register such firearms to be compliant with the NFA. As part of that process, ATF plans to expedite processing of these applications. And ATF has been informed that the Attorney General, apparently Bill Barr, because that's who this was devised under, plans retroactively to exempt such firearms from the collection of NFA taxes if they were made or acquired prior to the publication of this notice in good faith. This separate process may include the following options: registering the firearm, permanently removing the stabilizing brace, replacing the barrel to have it be a different length, surrendering the firearm to the ATF, or destroying the firearm. So this is the interesting part. They're offering to, if you want to avoid prison time, just either give it away, destroy it, alter it, or register it. And as we've covered on the show so many times, registration 100% of the time leads to confiscation. That's the whole point of it. When you have the list of who has the guns, it makes it easier to go take the guns.
I agree. So, by the way, we have some really funny comments in here. So I like Joe Chandler comes in and says that he's a CCW instructor. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you. If I see you firing one-handed in one of my trainings, you'd have to leave the range. So then Heart of Texas goes, Joe Chandler, what about a person with just one arm? So then Joe responds, obviously one-armed person would be fine. I haven't had that come up as of yet. So,
but that was the whole purpose that this was designed, right? And they have devices like this for Glock handguns. So if you're one-armed, and you're disabled, you lost an arm in war or in any other way,
Right.
you can attach this to a Glock and you can have it strapped to your wrist
Right.
so that you can fire it accurately. And they're just wanting to reclassify it like this. So really crazy stuff, guys. Make sure you use the link in our description. Join our Facts Blast campaign. We can still put a stop to this, but we're going to have to act now because either they had Bill Barr's go ahead on this, or this is written and intended to be dropped after a Joe Biden inauguration. That could be a twofer. They could actually be working under a promise from a Biden administration. So
now,
make sure that you hit that link and join the campaign. Go ahead.
Okay, we're going to go a little bit longer today. And guys, we'll be doing some smaller segments over the next couple of days to talk about what's happening with Dominion. I'm going to go live a few times. I'm going to see if I can get Max to do something later on tonight as well. But a lot of things are coming up with Dominion right now. A lot of things that are happening in Arizona. Max, you want to share some of that at all? You want to share some?
Yeah. What do you want me to put up?
Let's see if I can find it here for a second. But in Arizona,
we know that there are still challenges in Arizona. We know that in
Wisconsin, they just won. They won a couple days ago.
Well, they won, but now they have to go back to court and challenge each individual ballot, not as a bunch. They have to challenge the individual ballot. So they have the right to do that now. So we know that. Georgia, crazy things going on in Georgia where they're doing the signature verification and they're also keeping people like 60 feet away again. Like I'll pull that up in a second. They're repeating it. They're doing it again. They're stealing it again in Georgia, and it just seems like no one's paying attention or no one cares enough to stop them. I'm scrolling down to find it. We have some funny pictures that we posted. Go ahead and put up my screen, Mr. Producer. This is the view in Georgia of signature verification as it stands right now. Like they're doing it again.
Yeah.
They're not even pretending. They're literally doing it again. They're going to verify signatures in a way that the actual observers can't tell whether they're doing their job right.
Right.
They're going to steal it again. It's insane.
Well, and by the way, this is the thing that we're dealing with. And people are talking about the fact that we're headed towards a civil war. We are actually in a civil war right now. Now it's a Cold War. It's not warmed up yet, but we're in a civil war right now. We are letting the evil actually permeate our society. We've let it get too far. And in 1 year's time, we have people like Como and others that, frankly, it doesn't affect them to do what they're doing and shutting down restaurants and destroying their community. It doesn't. So I think that at some point we have to be able to willing to step out in the streets. And we had this conversation last night, and we were talking about what is going to happen on January 6th if they allow this evil to continue. And I said we're going to push over buildings. At the end of the Korean War, at the end of World War II, soldiers came back to deal with evil corruption that had happened in their communities. It's not just the couple you heard about in Oklahoma or in Ohio or in some of these other states. It was happening all over the country. And they all went back and they grabbed their guns and they went down to the courthouse and in some cases they burned down the courthouses. And I think that right now we're at that stage where many of us have, and I say us, I'm going to put myself in that group, that we're done putting up with it. When 70,000 people from the Proud Boys, which by the way are not racist, you know who the racists are? The pedophiles, rapists, and closet racists. They're all people on the left. All on the left. That's what they stand for. Rapists, pedophiles, and and closet racists. That is the left. That is 100% what they represent. You choose. And then you're like, well, I'm not any of those three. Then you're complicit with that behavior. But that is what the left represents. And by the way, if it's not, how come all the people that are getting arrested are sex offenders? How come the people getting arrested are felons and have abused children? How come? You think it's just an anomaly? They just picked them out and said, oh, yeah, let's just go after those pedophiles. No, it's because that's what the left does. They want to make doing drugs legal. They want to make just go out and steal and do whatever you want and resell your loot. That's what they want, right? So we're headed towards a place right now where we have to push the walls down. And that I think we're already there, Max. I think that we get to January 6th and they try to force Biden on us. There's going to be millions of people in every state. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be right next to it, right? I'm gonna be right next to those people, and I'm gonna say we've had enough. We don't get to wait 4 years. That's not what we get to do as people, right? We don't get to let Dominion. And what about all the other elections at Dominion? So we're supposed to let Dominion just operate again? We're let Smartmatic run our elections? We're supposed to let that happen? I mean, tell me what you think, people. Tell me. Do you think we should actually have to go through this? We don't let the ATF run us. It's not of the people, for the people, by the people if we're going through this. I think that if we get to January 6th and we don't have justice, we don't have things that actually are, they wanted proof. Oh, there's no proof, no proof, no proof. So we gave them mountains of proof. We did an audit. And then Chris Krebs, that jackass that ran CISA, the guy's a total piece of garbage. He's not a coder. Goes, oh, they misrepresented the code. How? How did they misrepresent the code? You don't even know what code is. You know it's written in C#. That's it. That's what you know, right? How are you going to tell me that the last point of the code that they were talking about was that they misrepresented the code? How? How? They put it through the system. It showed that the logs were deleted. So, look, I am incredibly encouraged by the fact that there are tens of millions of patriots that are willing to stand next to us. Tens of millions, right? Man, I know there's 75 million, and it's probably closer to 85 or 90 million, right? And I know that the left are just a bunch of weak asshats that actually stand next to each other. I know that to be a fact. But what are we going to do when we get to January 6th? We're going to fight. That's what we're going to do. And the weaponized media, we're going to walk away from it. We are going to get on Rumble. We're going to get on some of these other platforms.
We already are on Rumble. Everyone, link in the description. Make sure you go over and subscribe to our Rumble page. That is rumble.com/user/conservative daily. Oh, it mistyped. Let me type that in. Let me fix that. Conservative daily.
Jody said I need to invest in a punching bag. I am going to invest in punching bag. They're called loony leftists. I am. I'm going to tell you right now.
Purely consensually. For sparring
consensually,
partners.
Yeah. Waterboarding included.
Yeah. Sparring partners, consensual.
I don't look, and the fact that they're willing to steal your they're willing to steal your vote, and you're not willing to speak up about it. You know, and I was talking to someone yesterday, and they said, Joe, people are they've lost interest. No, they haven't. Like, I talk to people every day. Nobody's lost interest. Nobody is saying, oh, let's just give in to Biden. No, we don't give in to evil. We give in to evil this time, and it's over, folks. It's over. Your country, as you know it, is over. So Mitch McConnell, old Chinaman McConnell, no,
Cocaine Mitch. He's Cocaine Mitch.
Whatever. If we don't,
so that's a great segue into this. Before we end, and we're going to go a little over, I want everyone watching to leave a comment in the comment section and let me know which one you're going to choose for this little game. Mr. Producer, go ahead, put up my screen. I want to know, who do you think sold out? What do you think sold out faster in 2020? Mitch McConnell, ammunition, toilet paper, or Fox News? I want everyone has to pick one. Put it in the comment section. Which sold out faster? McConnell, ammo, TP, or Fox News?
Look, I at some point we are going to have to just come to the realization that it's going to take a fight. And I think that the 70,000 patriots that went, or 70, 80,000, I think it was like 70, 80,000 patriots, people that were the Proud Boys, right, that they want to call racist. They're not racist. They were near being racist, right? And most of them are minorities. Most of them. Not some of them, most of them. But they went to D.C. looking for a fight. And what happened? Antifa went and hid behind the police. The same people that literally they had been throwing rocks at, they went and hid behind them like cowards. Because that's what they are, cowards. So, I mean, I'm just at that point. I guess I'm relenting to the fact that this is the calm before the storm. We're going to get through. We're going to get through Christmas, and I'm going to do everything I can. Pray every single day that that God. I know He's at the wheel. We're the warriors. We'll do what He asks us to do, but not to let evil prevail. And once we get through the holidays, I assume that this fight will still be going on, and they haven't even dropped the DNI report. Is it DNI? DSI?
Well, they said they're supposed to do it, but now the DNI is warning that they're not going to do it on time.
Well, they can't do it on time because of the amount of fraud that they've actually uncovered.
Yeah. But they're saying that it's going to have to come sometime in January. How much you want to bet that they're going to pick a date after inauguration?
No, they're not.
You want to bet?
I'm telling you right now, he is not going to be president.
Intelligence Committee is going to try and push it off after inauguration.
No, you're not. You're not doing any of that. Look, I don't see how President Trump doesn't actually just invoke the Insurrection Act and go for it. What do we have? What do we have to lose? Come on, what do we have to lose, people? What do we have to lose in our country right now? We've already lost it all. We have teachers unions that are teaching kids how to be a gay in second grade. That you're not a boy, you're not a girl, right? They're teaching that in schools right now. They're teaching them Common Core math, which gets away from the fundamentals of mathematics. We have kids that are doing distance learning that are falling so far behind right now that in the U.S. it'll take us a decade to overcome that depression. But we're protecting these communist teachers. We're protecting these communist environments. The fall registration for colleges has fallen well below in the last 10 years. Has literally just dipped another 20% for first-time students at universities. Why? Because they already know. They see their brothers and sisters getting out of school after 4 years and nothing's becoming of it. Like they spend 4 years in college to get out with a degree in basket weaving or even business with no skills because businesses were
basket weaving.
But their skills are actually not. We see it all the time. We have interns that we have in here, and they're like, Joe, I learned more in the 3 months here than I did in the last 3-4 years in college. And it's sad, but it's true because these guys get tenure, and because technology is moving so fast, they're not learning anything. People are not learning anything in the university environment anymore. They're just not. People are learning more on chat rooms and code rooms on how to build things than they are at the university. The university doesn't even teach civics. They don't even teach about the fundamentals of what's happened in the United States. They allow this propaganda to be leaked into every part of our society. And kids go from 70% patriotic in high school to less than 30% in college. We're letting people destroy our society, folks. You're letting it happen. So, I got to tell you, we get to the inauguration, and if you think that we're not going to fight, we're going to fight. You're going to fight. I'm going to fight. I'm willing to put it all on the line. Are you? I think that we've just gotten to the point where we have to say enough is enough. The factual basis of this is that the election was stolen from us. Our voice means nothing. That's what that means. And now we have an ATF and an FBI that have been compromised. We have a CIA that's involved in this. We have foreign interest and the Chinese companies that actually own Dominion. We have a guy that literally is a part of Antifa that said he's going to stop people or stop Trump from winning. He said that. I didn't say it. He said it. I didn't tell him to show up to that meeting. And I certainly didn't tell him to actually go post the Antifa manifesto and all the things that are anti-Trump and anti-USA and ACAB. All cops are bad. I didn't make him do that. He did that on his own because that is what he was taught going through college, going through universities in these loony leftist environments filled with pedophiles, rapists, and closet racists. That's what they are. And I become a really hard target, Max. And then we talk about what the ATF's doing and that they're going to circumvent the rules of 90 days, that you're supposed to have 90 days of public comment because it doesn't matter anymore. There's no accountability. And people in the comments are over and over again saying right now, you're saying, listen, I don't know what I'm going to do, right? What do we do? We fight. That's what we do. We fight. They don't have accountability. Well, who's going to go to jail first? No one. I'll be the first to tell you, Hillary Clinton is not going to jail. Barack Obama is not going to jail. They can't even arrest the guys in the FBI that actually broke the law and actually were seditious.
Dominion CEO lied under oath. He's not going to jail.
They should have arrested him immediately. Why? Because the law doesn't apply to them. It applies to you. It applies to me. It applies to us. They can weaponize those laws against us. They don't mean anything to people that are bureaucrats. Right? You got Wayne Williams down in Colorado Springs that brought Dominion into our purview. You got Matt Crane, who is the county clerk and recorder for Arapahoe County, whose wife worked for Dominion. I can't even believe it. So I call people and say, did you know that his wife worked for Dominion? And you know what they said to me? Oh, but Matt's a really good guy. Really? He's a really good guy. I don't care if they're good guys. What I care about is that there's no voice.
When you were talking about Dominion, I brought up to him, and he's like, yeah, well, I talked to people within the GOP, and they said that Eric Coomer's a good guy. They trust him to run their elections any day. And it was a former elected official, so obviously he isn't in government anymore. But it's insane how there's just this deference giving to people who are really in no position to make expertise judgments at all. I mean, we laugh at Dr. Jill Biden. She has a doctorate about community colleges and minority students. Like, that's not sure, you got a doctorate, but you're not a doctor. And maybe tomorrow we'll read a little bit about her dissertation. I was reading some of it. It's just very, very funny. It's very, very poorly written.
Because they're ridiculous. Their brains just don't work right. And the smarter you are, right, the less likely you are to run for office or be a part of the system of the solution, because why would you? You're surrounded by village idiots. And that's what these people are. They're idiots. But idiocy that sticks together becomes an evil minion group, right? I mean, look, I'm gonna tell you this. I built an entire system. I built in a system that allows for you to get into the dark web and actually find pedophiles, right? And so I decided I was going to call up one of the main organizations in Colorado and say, hey, look, I got this program. Do you want it? They had no interest. I was like, I literally can tell you everyone that's out there looking for a child, right? No interest. Why? Because they don't want to solve the problem, people. They'd rather that people would come to your house, steal your stuff, go resell it, teach your kids to be gay, right? And you could say, oh, you're a homophobe. Am I? I mean, my business partner is a gay married Jewish father of 2. True story, right? That's true. It's true story, right? 8 years. What do you want to talk about my family? Okay, so you can't call me a racist, can't call me a homophobe. I mean, you can do whatever you want, right? I mean, the guy that just called me a militiaman, he took that post down when he must be watching us as well. But we're at this place where we just are allowing ridiculousness to rule our society. We're not saying anything. We're not getting out there and punching it in the mouth and saying, listen, you say you're Antifa, anti-fascist, but you're the fascist. You're the racist. You're the pedophiles. You're the bile of our community. You're that. And so,
go ahead, put up my screen. The tweet from Logan Davis is still up there.
Oh, is it?
I didn't take it. Yeah, it's still there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was told it got taken down.
In case you called off the war
I didn't call
dogs,
anybody off. No, I'm still going to go after him. I'm still going after him.
It's still up there.
Yeah, and frankly, I'm going to continue to go after him. I just want people to understand that this fight is just not about talking. It's not. I'm not just talking. And I know I get attacked all the time. I get attacked at every corner. I get attacked. And I don't care. People are like, don't you get tired? No, I don't get tired. I never get tired. I continue to fight and fight and fight and fight and fight because I don't have a choice. And you say, well, you're going to cut your life down dramatically. Maybe. But it's not worth living if we have to live in some sort of communist society anyway. Right? If we allow evil to prevail and God's not anywhere in our society, then what are we doing? I'm not willing to. I just can't. I can't remain silent anymore. I can't, and I can't let you just sit here and say, "Hey, well, it's over. There's no hope." There is a lot of hope, and the hope is in you, and the hope is in me, and the hope is in us. To say, look, we've had enough. When things clack off, let's clack with it. It's like, oh, you want to revert to violence? No, I don't. I just don't think that it's avoidable. Do you? Do you think it's avoidable? I mean, look at where we're at right now. They're spray painting our capitals and tearing down statues and teaching our kids things and making them stay home and persecuting people and letting the big bad group of people go out there and dox and bully people while they're talking about anti-bullying. That's what they're doing. We're catering our society to a 1% while we ignore the 99%. We're telling people that are hardworking farmers and work in middle America, you're not worth anything. You know what's worth something? Facebook. I hate Facebook.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Producer, put up my screen again. We put this up, and I just put up a poll, so everyone refresh your screen on Facebook, and you can take the poll. Which sold out faster? I'm curious what people think. Mitch, Ammo, TP, or Fox News. Watching it, I got the feeling that most people were saying Mitch, just by scrolling through the comments. We had a ton of comments to the point where it almost broke the streams. So take the poll on Facebook and go ahead and post it on YouTube. I'm curious what people think. I think it's probably Mitch McConnell because he sold out a long time ago. But I'm very curious, so make sure you take that poll. It's not scientific or anything, just interested to see what people think. People still think ammo. It's hard to get. It's hard to find these days. Well, Joe, we're a little bit over, but is there anything else you want to add for a final word before we wrap up the podcast?
I talk about courage and I talk about wanting to fight. Everybody's like, oh, I've lost hope. You can't lose hope. You got to tell people. You got to organize with people. You got to actually find like-minded people and come together. There will be a battle call. It will be. It's coming. I mean, the battle call is coming. And you would say, Joe, you're talking about violence. No, I'm not. I just don't think it's. I think it's unavoidable. I'm not talking about violence. Yeah.
Nice try, ATF, asking how we're going to fight back. Nice try. Gotta wake up earlier in the morning if you want to catch us.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything about how we were going to fight back. I just know that it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable. I was asked yesterday, will you go, Joe? Will you go to do a huge rally in front of the governor's house in Boulder? Let's get 10,000 people in Boulder. And I went, no, I won't. And they said, well, why? And I was like, because I know what the temperature is right now, and that man's house will get burned to the ground. You get 10,000 people out there right now pissed off, they will burn his house to the ground. And I'm telling you right now that I know that we're that far down the path, and the left is literally pushing our buttons and saying, and we're law-abiding people. And the only reason we haven't snapped now is that we have this little string tied around our ankle, and it's called obeying the law. And they know it. But they break the law over and over again, and they don't get persecuted because their little comrades are the DAs and are in those positions of trust and authority. So you got to have courage. You got to stand up. And frankly, this fight's not over. And we'll talk a little bit more about what's happening with Dominion tomorrow. I mean, and the CEO and the fact that he openly lied, right? Got caught, and there'll be no consequences. Oops, right? But we are the ones that can hold them accountable. Are you willing to?
So right before we wrap this up, poll results, 51% said Mitch sold out first, 19% say ammo, 16% say Fox News, 14% are still angry about the toilet paper shortage from earlier this year. So thanks for taking the poll. We'll talk more about Dominion and Eric Coomer tomorrow, but we had to talk about this, the ATF, what's going on, because they're trying to sneak it through, and the only way they're able to sneak it through is if people don't know what's happening. So that's going to be it for this edition of the podcast. If you like the podcast, make sure that you subscribe to the audio version. We're available on Apple Podcasts. If you have an iPhone, a MacBook, an iPad, make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a good 5-star review. Help us rise up in the rankings and be able to prove the numbers to get sponsors. We're also available on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Podbean. So definitely make sure you check us out there. Even if you watch Monday through Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, go ahead and subscribe. If you can't watch, you can listen to us as you go about your day. And also make sure you like and follow our Facebook page and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications on YouTube as well. Text FREEDOM to 89517. You'll get a text alert when we go live. That's how Facebook is trying to throttle us by stopping notifications from going out to people. We get around that by you joining the text list and getting a text so you can bypass the notification system entirely and just go right to our videos. There's also a link to join our email newsletter. We are on Parler at Conservative Daily, and we are now also on Rumble. Our podcast will be added to Rumble after the live stream's done. So make sure you go over there and subscribe on Rumble as well. Mr. Brewster, go ahead and put up the gun giveaway one more time. Make sure you check out the link in the description. We're giving away a Glock 17 on Christmas. The only way you win is if you enter before then. So make sure you go to that link in the description and enter. Full rules and terms are there on the entry page. And I don't know if you can still, let me check if there's still time to get the t-shirt before Christmas. It might be. I'm gonna check right now. If it is, we're going to talk about it. Yep. Go ahead and put up that. There is still time to get this with Super Rush shipping. Apparently, they have a different option for shipping called Super Rush. So if you want to show the world that you're not going to let them cancel Christmas, make sure you check out the link in the description. Pick up a T-shirt, Come and Take It Christmas T-shirt modeled after the Come and Take It battle flag of the Texas Revolutionaries. And make sure you select Super Rush shipping, and it will get to you in time for Christmas. I think I hit up everything. Again, that's going to be it for this edition of the podcast. My name is Max McGuire.
And this is Joe Oltman.
And remember that the fight to take back our country clearly is not over yet, but the only way we win is if we all stand up and fight together.